Hey, what's up? I'm here with Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. What's up, buddy?
How are you, man?
Good. Thanks for talking to me, man.
Yeah, it's a little loud with the rock concert going on behind us.
Yeah. Well, we're at Heavy TO, and, you know, I mean, you've done festivals like this a million times. What is it like playing really fast, really intricate music in extremely hot weather? Is that difficult?
It's like killing yourself twice. It's you know, it's funny. This whole week there's been this heat wave. We've been down in the United States doing the Mayhem tour, and this was really perfect because we actually had a day off today on the East Coast. So we were able to get over here and, you know, to play Montreal last year, and then to be able to play here, the first one ever. I think I commend you guys. This is great. It's a ballsy move to start a new festival, but I think it's great. I mean, Toronto is really a heavy metal epicenter, I think, you know, for Canada. So I think it's a great thing. The weather's nice and
beauty.
Yeah, so it's all good.
Well, I mean, you mentioned heavy MTL, and I guess that's sort of where this whole thing started. This is the first year of TO, and I saw you guys last year at MTL, and now that's a real. I mean, there's metalheads, and then there's Quebec metalheads.
Yes, right. Well, that's the thing in Canada. It's a little sectioned off, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And our drummer Sean Drover is actually from Montreal, so he's filled me in a little bit about. Obviously, I've been there many times, but it's interesting to hear his views of it. Having been born and raised there, he's been living in America now for quite a while. But it's you know, Canada is really a special place, and I remember one of my most memorable tours, aside from playing at the Maple Leaf Gardens in Indonesia.
That's badass.
That was cool, but but one of the other ones was years ago in 1980. It was either 87 or early 88.
Yeah.
We came through on our So Far So Good So What tour, supporting Ronnie Dio with Sabotage on the bill, and I mean, it was like, actually I guess it was 88 because it was like January and it was brutal. I grew up in Minnesota, so I mean, I know brutal weather, cold.
Yeah.
But it's like, that was a whole nother level of stuff. But it, you know, there's just such a spirit about, to me, Canada is kind of like the best of the U.S. and the best of Europe, and it's all put right together. I really,
thank you.
There's a thing about the Canadian people that is respectful. They don't swear all the time. They seem to be educated, you know what I mean? And I've noticed that even just working in rock and roll, where rock and roll is one of these industries where anything goes, and sometimes the more you go, the cooler you are. But there's a sort of stately quality about Canadians that I've really come to admire in my years doing this.
You know what? I love Americans, and I feel like Bush gave you guys a bit of a bad rap lately. Yeah. So Americans are great people as well, man.
Well, we share a border. So
you're our best buds. You're our best buds.
No, it's great, though. You know, it's nice because, you know, as close as we are, sometimes tours don't always come up here. And
right, yeah.
You know, in my first, we did the Rust in Peace tour last year. We played a couple of...
How was that?
It was fantastic. Yeah. You know, we played a couple shows I guess Washington and Idaho area, and then we quickly came right up and came across Canada, and it was great to do that and to see the enthusiasm for Megadeth after all these years. It was slightly better than it was in America at that point, because a lot of those we were playing a lot of kind of smaller cities in America, and they are very enthusiastic, but some of the venues are smaller. Coming up here to Canada, playing some of these big halls and everything, and it was really a great thing to see that all this work we did so many years ago coming up here and touring, that these fans are just so appreciative of us coming here, so it makes us want to come back again.
How was it, you know, to play Rust in Peace, you know, in its entirety?
Well, it was cool. You know, again, your Canadian boy Sean Drover, his drumming style, he's got this really kind of behind the beat feel to how he plays, and it made playing that record live a lot easier, and because that's one of those records where if the tempos are pushed at all, because it's already fast, it's kind of right to the red line already. And if you get drummers, sometimes musicians live, we get excited and we rush or we play and on top of the beat, and that's one of those albums where if you do that, you're toast. And if you start ahead of the beat, you're really fried. So Sean made it actually very, very enjoyable, and it was. He
kept you guys in time?
He did. He kind of pulled us back and kind of kept it locked where it needed to be, and it sounded really good.
Talk about you know, thrash in the 80s, and specifically Canadian thrash, because you guys had a lot of bands open for you guys. I was talking to Jeff Waters of Annihilator, and he only had nice things to say about you dudes.
Oh, yeah, good. Oh, Jeff's wonderful. I mean, I remember back when Marty Friedman joined Megadeth, and we were driving up to rehearsal, me and Nick Menza and me and Marty Friedman, we were going up essentially rehearsing the Rust in Peace record. And we'd always be blasting Alice in Hell, and and listening to Annihilator, and Jeff, I mean, Jeff is he's kind of your thrash metal guitar icon from Canada, man.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Underrated for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And very much appreciated in Europe. You know, Annihilator really holds a great stature over there. And it's funny that you mentioned tours, because our first tour we did for Killing Is My Business in 1985 was with Exciter and their Violence and Force album. So that was our first experience. So we've been pretty kinetically tied to Canada for our whole career.
I mean, were you into, like, I guess there's the Razor and Sacrifice. Who else was that?
There was a,
the Sword.
I think that the band Sword, not The Sword.
Not The Sword, not this Sword.
Sword, on the Peace Sells tour, we would drive around listening to that album all the time. That was fantastic.
They just opened for Annihilator in Quebec, and it was
I would have been there. See, now that's a cool bill. Yeah, Sword wasn't really a thrash band. They were more of kind of just a good, straight up rock band. Yeah, metal band, hard rock band. But man, they had great songs, and
Did you guys make an effort to sort of find bands like that to open?
We would once in a while. We would get a CD from a band like that, and we would specifically seek them out. And maybe sometimes, touring schedules didn't work, and so it didn't work. We never had them on a bill that I know of. And then sometimes bands will present, or record labels will present a CD to us, and that happened with bands like Alice in Chains, and that happened with another little band called Stone Temple Pilots, who sent us their CD, and I remember listening to it on the bus just going, wow, this is cool, And we've had a lot of bands open for us that became much bigger than us, quite honestly, And even Pantera, we had them out with us for a long time, and clearly Pantera reinvented metal in a huge, huge way.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
I have to ask about the new record, 13. What's the status? What are the plans there?
Just finishing all the mixes right now. I'm hearing a November release date is what I'm hearing. And then we have some big touring plans that are starting to take shape for right after the first of the year. So the record is really, it's sounding good, man. I think our fans, there's something for everybody on it, and but it definitely sounds like 2011 Megadeth.
Sick. Is it, how long does it take you to get comfortable with new stuff? Do you have to play it live a couple times?
No, it's gone a lot of different ways. Your first album, you have your whole life to make your first album. And then you got about 9 months to make your second one, which is where a lot of bands fall when they have that pressure.
And then you have the daunting third record, which...
Megadeth is one of these bands where I think the less time we have to do it, the better we work, When our back's against the wall, which it was on this, because we tried to make a record between end of April and end of July, essentially, or end of June rather, 2 months, and that really, we bone up when that happens. You know what I mean? It's we really rolled our sleeves up, and we made, I think, a really, really good album, and very good melodic, heavy stuff, some great thrash stuff on there, and it just, I don't know, it worked. It just came together. And those are those moments you hope for when you're creating something. It's like, it's one thing to write, it's another when the spark really happens. And so these songs, we've not played them live before, but we're actually playing one song live. Public Enemy No. 1 is one of the tracks that we started.
What it's called?
Yeah.
Have you guys talked to Chuck D?
No. I was kind of wondering that when Dave brought that up, said, hey, that's the title. I'm like, oh, well, but it's a cool tune, and Dave wanted to wing it out and play it. We did one night in Germany a couple weeks ago, and now we've been playing it every night in the show, and people are loving it, man. It's a good song. It's an easy to understand hook in these big festivals,
Is there a theme of the record? I mean, is it Public Enemy No. 1? Automatically, I'm thinking political song?
It's actually a thing about Al Capone. so
That's even better, dude.
It's interesting. Dave has, from a lyrical point of view, he's really doing some good storytelling on this record,
Yeah.
I think, to write lyrics, period, is a gift, and we've all, in Megadeth over the years, written a handful of different ideas. And a couple of things I'm enjoying as I'm hearing the mixes now is Dave is like telling stories, I'm a big fan of Thin Lizzy, and to hear Phil Lynott years ago, who is this Irish metal guy, rock guy from the UK, singing these songs about stealing gold and the loot in Las Vegas. I'm like, how would he know about that? He's from the UK,
Yeah.
But case in point, he was a very good storyteller through his lyrics, you know, and these songs, now that I'm hearing them, you know, Dave has really kind of gone to a new level with his lyric writing. That's very, it's impressive, man. I like it. It takes you away, it takes you out of the moment, you know, which I think good music should do.
Yeah, exactly. What is it like being in a band with Dave Mustaine?
Dave's an intense guy, you know. He's very focused. He's very determined. You know, I tell you, standing on stage with him, I've never felt like things were going to ever get out of control. I always felt like he was very much in control.
Yeah.
He could stand in front of 500 people or 100,000 people, and I always felt like he had the respect of the audience, and that's great to be standing next to a front man who commands that. So I'm glad I'm on his team. Yeah. You know.
Well, I mean, talk about the chemistry you guys have, because you guys have been together for a long time. Sure. So I mean, you know, why do you guys think you managed to keep it together?
You know, Dave and I are the essence of Megadeth, you know, and as intense as he is, there's sort of maybe a sobering calmness about me in a certain way, which is a different dynamic, and I think you need that yin and yang to make things work. Everything can't be, you know, on like how I am, or else it doesn't have that over the edge excitement about it. Yeah. Everything can't always be over the edge, because eventually you just go over the edge and that's it, you know. Yeah. So I think Dave and I have a really good kind of push-pull dynamic between us, and I think now, because we got some time away from each other, that we come back together, it's more apparent now to us, and we really see it. We really appreciate it, and you know, I think every day when we see each other, there's smiles on our faces, going, man, you know, really appreciate you and really appreciate what we do together, and that's something that, after all these years, you know, a lot of bands don't get to that point, or if they split up, there's never a reconciliation, or the reconciliation's too little, too late. And so I'm really consider myself fortunate that for all of us, that we were able to kind of make things work again, and not because someone had to make it work, but because we really wanted to. You know, we really wanted to do it for our friendship. We wanted to do it for our fans. You know, our fans are thrilled about it, and they get to see the spirit of what Megadeth really is on stage.
I'm getting the hairy eyeball, so I got to ask you two quick questions, really quickly. How important was it to get the big four done?
You know, I think for thrash metal it was very important. Kind of similar to Megadeth really being whole and complete. Yeah. I think our scene needed it. I think thrash metal needed it. You know, there have been a lot of bands here in recent years that have come up the ranks in the last, say, 5-6 years, really carrying the banner for thrash metal now, doing thrash metal in a new way. Yeah. But I think for us kind of elder statesman guys, for us to make it good between all of us, because we're the ones they all looked up to. You know, and I think for us to make it work is great, and ultimately that celebration is for the fans to enjoy now.
Last question, favorite hockey team?
Boy, you know, I grew up a Minnesota North Stars fan, right?
Yeah, which is badass.
Don't exist anymore. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, that's
good
like
hockey town.
It's like as freaking cool as it gets.
You could say the North Stars.
But you know,
at heart, I guess.
I would say the North Stars at heart, but because I live in Phoenix, you know, I
like that already.
Coyotes, you know,
go your home team.
You got to go to my home team. Absolutely.
There's too many Habs fans here.
No, I support the home team. You know.
Yeah, dude, Dave, nice to talk to you, man.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
You're welcome.
Explore Music wears